Hello everybody, how are you? Today I am going to discuss the remaining questions of the most important terms and concepts taken from the UGC NET PYQs paper 2 English literature. I have already discussed the 50 questions and let me tell you that I have prepared the 100 most important terms and concepts always, and it's so frequent asked by UGC NET. So in this video we are going to discuss the remaining questions, that is we are going to start the question from the question number 51. And uh, so and if you have not watched that video, please go and watch. You can go to the description and click on the link to watch. So I would like to request you from everybody, each and everyone, that you should study. If you are a student of English literature and if you are preparing for UGC NET English literature to become an assistant professor, you must study in English. You must face the questions in English. It will be eventually helpful for you, for your future and for your further preparations. So without wasting our time, let's start with the question number 51. As you can see on the screen, who coined the term mimicry in post colonial studies? The term mimicry coined by whom, this question asks. This concept was introduced in the post colonial studies, and the options we have Homi K. Bhabha, Edward Said, Franz Fanon, and the option number D we have Gayatri Spivak. So, without wasting any time, let me tell you the right answer. So, the right answer would be Homi K. Bhabha. Mimicry concept was the term given by Homi K. Bhabha in the post-colonial studies. Okay, and this concept was introduced in the year 1994 in the work Location of Culture. The Location of Culture. This is how you can memorize everything with the year in which work the term and concept was introduced and what was the significance of the given term. Also, I would like to apologize if I will do any mistake, whether it's in my question or it's in my speaking. I hope you are all. I hope you will understand that it's a human error. So now you know that this concept mimicry is introduced by Homi K. Bhabha in the year 1994 in the work The Location of Culture. Now let's move on to the next question. So the question number 52 we have, who introduced the term subaltern in post-colonial studies? Again, we are facing the question from the post-colonial studies, and the concept we have subaltern. So who introduced this term? Option you can see. There are four options. You can try to guess the right one. Okay, so let's see the correct answer. Gayatri Spivak. So this term was introduced by Gayatri Spivak in the year 1988. In the year 1988, and the work is known as Can the Subaltern Speak? Can the Subaltern Speak? Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Next question we have, who introduced the concept of the cultural study in critical theory? The cultural study is one of the most popular term asked by UGC NET, and for any English literature exam this concept is prominent. So who introduced this term? Who introduced this concept? Option you have Theodore Adorno and Max Horkheimer, Walter Benjamin, Michael Foucault, and Roland Barthes. Option you have, there are four options. Anybody you can try to guess the correct answer. So the culture industry term is coined by Theodore Adorno and Max Horkheimer. Max Horkheimer, this term, the culture study, introduced in the year 1944, and the work was dialectic enlightenment. Dialectic enlightenment was the work on which this concept was introduced by these both writers. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Concept I have created in a very short way so that you can understand. To get the PDF of this term and concept, you can join my Telegram channel from my description in bio. By joining the Telegram channel, you can get all the PDF of the question answers we are discussing in the class. So you can join. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Who coined the term androgyny in feminist criticism? Feminist criticism is also very popular in English literature. This term is in favor of feminism. So androgyny in feminist criticism, coined by whom? Coined by whom? Options you have: Virginia Woolf, Judith Butler, Kate Millett, and Ellen Sholter. Ellen Sholter. Okay. So the correct answer is Virginia Woolf. Androgyny in feminist criticism is introduced by Virginia Woolf, coined by Virginia Woolf in the year 1929. Sorry, in the year 1929, and the work is very popular. A room of one's own. A room of one's own. A room of one's own. This is the work by Virginia Woolf. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 55 we have: who introduced the concept of structuralist narratology? Structuralist narratology, this concept is introduced by, options you can see, and the correct answer we have Gerard Genett. Gerard Genett is the writer who introduced this concept structuralist narratology in the year 1972. In the year 1972, and the work is narrative discourse. Narrative discourse. I have brought the very easiest concept of from easiest concept for all the concepts and term by the different writers with their year and work also. Concept you can study to understand the significance of the given term. Okay. Next, who introduced the concept of death of the author? Who introduced the concept of the death of the author? So the concept the death of the author was introduced by Roland Barthes. This concept was introduced by Roland Barthes. And in which year? The year is 1967, and the work is the death of the author. The death of the author. Now let's move on to the next question. So the next question we have: who coined the term panopticism in literary and cultural studies? Panopticism in literary and cultural studies. Options you have, there are four options, and all the writers are familiar. So answer would be Michael Foucault. Michael Foucault is the correct answer who introduced the term panopticism in literary and cultural studies. In which year this concept was coined? So the year is 1975, and the work is Discipline and Punish. Discipline and Punish. Now let's move on to the next. So the next question we have: who introduced the concept of discourse in post-structuralist theory? Discourse term concept introduced in post-structuralist theory by whom? See the options. Okay, so the correct answer is again Michael Foucault. And the concept is discourse analysis. In the question, the whole concept is not written, but here you can see discourse analysis is the concept, and in which year in which work this concept was given. So the work is the archaeology of knowledge, and in which year? 1972. 1972. Next question: who coined the term hyperreality in postmodernism? Hyperreality in postmodernism. Options you can see here. Okay. Next, let's see the answer. So the answer you have Jean Baudrillard. Jean Baudrillard coined the term hyperreality in postmodernism in the year 1981. In the year 1981, and the work is very popular, simulacra and simulation. Simulacra and simulation. Next, who introduced the concept of metafication in postmodern literature? Metafication in postmodern literature. Options you can see. Okay, so the correct answer is practice of self-conscious fiction. In which year? 1984. The next question we have. Next question we have, who coined the term reader response criticism? Reader response criticism, also known as reader response theory. So who coined this term? Options you can see, there are four options, and the correct answer would be Stanley Fish. Reader response theory is the term coined by Stanley Fish in the year 1970, and the work is there a text in this class? Is there a text in this class? Next question. Monomyth mythological criticism is a concept given by whom? Who introduced this concept, monomyth? Options you can see, there are four options. Okay, the correct answer would be Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell. This work, this term monomyth, introduced in the year 1949 in the work The Hero with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell. By whom? By Joseph Campbell. Next question we have, who introduced the concept of objection in psychoanalytic criticism? The concept objection in psychoanalytic criticism is coined by, introduced by whom? Options you have. Okay, there are four options. Any guesses who could be the correct answer? Who is the writer who coined this term objection in psychoanalytic criticism? Okay, let's see the right answer. So the right answer we have, objection in psychoanalytic criticism is coined by Julia Kristeva, in the year 1982, and the work is Powers of Horror. The work is Powers of Horror. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Who coined the term écriture feminine in feminist criticism? Écriture feminine in feminist criticism, you can see this concept is very new but familiar. This term écriture feminine in feminist criticism is coined by whom? Options you have. See the options, everybody. Okay, without wasting time, let's see the correct answer. So the correct answer is again Helen Zayas is the correct answer. Helen Zayas is the correct answer who coined this term a creature feminine in feminist criticism. Okay, this term was introduced in the 1975 in the work The Laugh of the Medusa. The Laugh of the Medusa. Okay, let's see the next one. Okay, so next question we have, who introduced the concept binary oppositions in structuralist criticism? Who introduced the concept binary oppositions in structuralist criticism? Structuralist criticism. Options you can see on your screen. Four options. If anybody can guess the answer, you can write in the comment section. Okay, so correct answer would be Claude Levi-Strauss. Claude Levi-Strauss is the correct answer who introduced this concept binary oppositions in the year 1958, and the work is structural anthropology. Structural anthropology. So the next question we have, who introduced the concept of base and superstructure in Marxist literary theory? This concept is very popular and one of the most prominent concept discussed more and more by the different writers. So this concept base and superstructure in Marxist theory given by whom? Options you have. You can see the options. There are four options given on the screen. Okay, what will be the correct answer? Let's see. So the correct answer is Karl Marx. Karl Marx, I want to tell you that somehow I was also impressed by this concept and the theory, the perspective of Karl Marx, because and I hope that, and somehow I also know that you guys also, if you have studied this concept, you should also feel relatable. Okay, let's see. The correct answer is Karl Marx. The year is 1859 and the concept is base and superstructure, and the work is contribution to the critique of political economy. A contribution to the critique of political economy. In this work, this concept was given. Okay, next question. The next question is who coined the term signifier and signified in linguistic and literary theory? In linguistic and literary theory, this concept is one of the most prominent concept, always appear in each exam, whether it's PGT, TGT or UGC net English. So this concept you should go and study with in detail. This concept signifier and signified, I myself study a lot to understand this concept by different perspective and different way I study this concept to understand and analyze what is this actually. So I will also make a video on this. So let's see the correct answer. Signifier and signified is very popular term given by Ferdinand de Saussure, a Swiss linguistic. In the year signifier and signified, this concept was given, and the year is 1969, and which is the work? The work is a course in general linguistic. So Ferdinand de Saussure, a Swiss linguistic, gave this term in the year 1916, and the work is course in general linguistic. Very popular term. Do not miss, please. Do not miss this concept. Next question we have, who introduced the term paradox of tragedy in literary criticism? Paradox of tragedy in literary criticism. The question is very easy to understand actually. Who introduced the term? Who coined the term? And this is the very simple and easy type of questions you can easily understand. So you don't need to scare that I'm not able to understand anything what I am saying, what is this question, how it is mentioned. Nothing to worry, just watch, and day by day, slowly you will be able to understand everything. Believe me and trust yourself. So the question is who introduced the term paradox of tragedy in literary criticism? Let's see the options. Options you have, there are four options. Options A, B, C, and D. David Hume, Aristotle, Samuel Johnson, and Northrop Frye. What will be the correct answer? So the correct answer is David Hume. The paradox of tragedy is given by David Hume. In the year, the work is of tragedy. This concept is given by David Hume. Next. So the next concept we have, who introduced the concept blank verse in English poetry? In English poetry, blank verses concept is very popular, and there are many writers who work on this in their respective work with the different age of writer work on this theory. So this concept blank verse is given by whom? You have to guess the correct answer from these options. In English poetry, this concept was very popular in the particular age. Let me tell you, Elizabethan. Many ages also this concept was popular, but this particular age, one of the writer popularized this term in this particular age. So anybody? Okay, let's see the answer. Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey, introduced the concept blank verse, and this term, as I told you, as just mentioned, that popularized by Christopher Marlowe and mostly used by William Shakespeare. All these writers have given in these options. So but you have to tell the writer who brought this concept. So none other than Earl of Surrey, Henry Howard. I have already made a video on this concept in very easy way to understand. You can watch. So in which year? 1540s, and the work is translations of Virgil's Aeneid. 1540, the translation of Virgil's Aeneid, Earl of Surrey gave this concept. Next concept we have, who introduced the term cognitive estrangement in science fiction studies. Cognitive is related to thinking. So this concept cognitive estrangement in science fiction studies given by whom? Options you can see. Four options A, B, C and D. Always jump on to the correct answer to avoid any misconception and confusion. That's why I'm not telling you the option, just the right answer instead. So the correct answer is dark swain. The correct answer is dark swain. This concept is given in 1979 and the work was Metamorphosis of Science Fiction. Metamorphosis of Science Fiction. Next. Okay, next question. Who introduced the concept objective correlative in literary criticism? Very popular term, always asked, and one of the favorite concept asked by NET or any other PGT TGT exam in English for English. So who introduced this concept objective correlative? Correlative, that means one thing is related to the other, and object means anything, any object that relate. So in literary criticism, who introduced these options? We have the answer is T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot, this concept was introduced by T.S. Eliot in the year 1919 and the work is Hamlet and his problems. Actually this term was mainly introduced describe to describe the Hamlet lack the objective correlation. So that is why the work is also known as Hamlet and his problems. In the year 1919, this concept was introduced. Okay, next question. Who introduced the concept of sublime in aesthetics and literary theory? In aesthetics and literary theory, the concept sublime is introduced by whom? Who introduced? Options you can see on the screen, four options. And if you are able to guess the correct answer, you can write in the comment section. So let's see the correct answer. Sublime concept is given by Longinus. Longinus in the work on the sublime and in the year 1st century CE. 1st century CE, this concept was introduced by the Longinus. Very popular term and always asked, frequent question asked by NET. Okay, so that's all for today. For I would like to tell you that I have to skip few questions who are repetitively appeared in this PPT. So I apologize for that. I just have already uploaded most important 50 terms and concept you can watch, and these are the remaining ones. I avoided the repetition. So I hope you can understand. And for the time being, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel, everybody. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.